Welcome to School Matters. I'm Logan.
And I'm Matt. We are here in the gallery at Glen Island High School and the home of the Jaguars.
And home of the Center for Education and Human Development. As you know, each high school has a specialty center, and we both agree that the best one is right here at Glen Island.
But in today's show, we're going to take you around the county to see what's happening in a bunch of our schools. Our first stop, Moody Middle School, to meet a district champ who is moving on to states. And maybe nationals?
No, we're not talking about sports. We're talking spelling bee.
Let's begin Henrico County's 2020 Spelling Bee. Good luck to everyone. Your word is fidelity.
Fidelity. F-I-D.
Your word is cooperage.
Cooperage. C-O-O.
Your word is tritium.
Tritium. T-R-I-T-I-U-M. Tritium.
Yes, that is correct.
My name is Ananya Nandiru, and I am the County Spelling Bee champion.
That is correct. Thank you.
I guess I've just been reading for a really long time, and words have just been my passion.
Your word is schadenfreude. Schadenfreude.
Sometimes they give me foreign words, but I have to narrow it down by asking for the definition, part of speech, language of origin.
May I please have the definition?
Yes, schadenfreude.
I will always ask questions because you can never be too sure about the word. The definition is the biggest helper.
Schadenfreude. S-C-H-A-D-E-N-F-R-E-U-D-E. Schadenfreude.
There was always a little bit of doubt whenever I answered.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I know, it just gets confusing.
I think at that point it was just me and Weston. So he was a very good competitor, and so if he would have won, I guess it would have been great because he was very smart.
The next word is kielbasa. Kielbasa.
There were some tips that we studied for like German and Polish words like IE versus EI, and I tried my hardest to remember those.
K-I-E-L.
I visualized the word in my head and slowly spell out every letter.
S-A. Kielbasa.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. The next one is breviary. Breviary.
Breviary.
My final word was breviary, and the first thought that jumped into my head, I need to think carefully about this because this might be another word. So I asked the questions and I tried to narrow it down at that point.
May I please have the language of origin?
The language origin, it does help a lot. It helps determine different word spellings, different word parts.
B-R-E-V-I-A-R-Y, breviary.
Then when I had spelled it, I was very nervous and doubtful.
Yes, that is correct. Congratulations.
At that point, honestly, I was very hungry, but other than that, it was hard to believe a little bit. I thought I was in a dream or something. It didn't really sink in until the next day. I love learning new words, so the spelling bee really helps with that. Just read a lot, watch shows that are advanced in language, and just study. And it really helps in your writing, too.
She's only a 7th grader, which means she can compete again next year.
I tell you some of the words she won with, but not only can't I spell them, I don't even know how to pronounce them. Trust me, they were some very tough words.
Thank goodness we have spell check.
We now go from the challenge of spelling to a challenge of science.
Students at Henrico High School had to create displays that addressed issues of land and water use.
They ended up with a wide variety of topics, some really creative displays, and a very impressive gallery.
So I asked my AP Environmental students to create something, anything, that they wanted to in order to recap our land and water use project. They could create something physical, they could do a research project, and we had quite diverse results.
Hey, so I did a project on the Australian bushfires, and basically I made a poster, and then the background of the poster is orange to represent how the sky is orange in Australia right now, and then at the bottom there are bushes with flames on them, and then there were also black clouds shaped like Australia, and there were 25 white stick figures, and they were cut in half, and they were cut in half to show how 25 lives were unfortunately cut short by the fires. I ended up doing my project on aquaculture, which is basically fish farming, and it's a more efficient way of raising and breeding fish for food production, amongst other things. I thought it was very interesting because it's like safe for the environment.
So I had meat production, so I just basically wanted everybody to know the history about it, more so what everybody didn't know already. I had little pictures of like a farmer to let you know about how it all started in the 16th century. I had little animals.
I did the Monster House Smart City Urban Sprawl thing. When Ms. Moyer proposed the project, I immediately was like, I'm gonna do a diagram. I started sketching ideas, and she thought it was funny because when she came by, I already had a plan set out. I started doing the research after, but it was cool to be able to make my own thing for the project. I think when they had the choice about what to research instead of me telling them, I got to learn a lot more about them, and they got to learn about something that they cared about.
It's like something I knew I would enjoy doing, rather than just getting a topic that I may not like.
I just liked being able to with no boundaries, because it was you can do anything.
It gave me a lot of room to be creative because I like making projects and different experiments.
They amaze me every day with the kinds of things that they come up with and the questions that they ask, so not super surprised that they came up with such interesting and off-the-wall ideas, but very thrilled with it because I definitely couldn't have told somebody, hey, why don't you make over my turtle tank and talk about overfishing and build a boat and a net to go with it. That never would be a project that I would give to somebody, but it's one that they came up with and that both my turtles and I love.
One topic I thought was cool was the one about the meat industry. You know, now they're making meat with no meat.
You mean plant-based or meatless meat, right? You ever try any?
No, how about you?
No way. Now we're off to another science class. This time we're going to Godwin High School.
In this physics class, students don't just share work with each other, they interact with students from across the globe.
So we extend over a good range of the globe, which I think is really exciting. And so thank you everyone for joining.
We have our team in Barcelona. I'll be presenting the first graph. We see the spike go in our X model.
There was a collision, but there were no global muons. Or if there were paths, but then there was one global muon, but the other one didn't even travel, and you couldn't even tell.
Anything else from Virginia before we move on? All right, thank you.
This is a relatively new detector. It was fully functional only 10 years ago. And it's the first detector of its kind able to actually measure these neutrinos coming from space. And we've created a sort of three-dimensional grid where we can basically see with these cameras the light that are produced from these particle interactions. This detector is huge. A lot of the optical telescopes are also huge, but at this moment, people like me around the world are designing the next generation of experiments, which are going to be even bigger and look even further into space.
Our question is, what inspired you to go into the field that you're in?
Yeah, I was in Mr. Fetzko's class here in Godwin, and we did our particle physics unit, we did the master class, and it was the first time that I was simultaneously interested in something and good at it. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this is it. And I've just sort of been continuing to think that for the last 10 years.
I just want to thank Dr. Summer for an excellent talk, excellent Q&A session. Teachers and students, thank you all as well. Especially shout out to the Barcelona group for staying up extra late. We appreciate that. Adios.
Now for another 60-second history report.
When you think of cities in America where the fight for freedom began, does Montgomery, Alabama make your list? It should. That's because it was there that a woman took a stand by staying seated. After the Civil War, many southern states had Jim Crow laws. These were rules about racial segregation for restaurants, restrooms, even buses. One December day in 1955, an African-American woman named Rosa Parks was told by a bus driver to move so a white man could have her seat. When she refused, he called the police. Soon after, churches from all over the area told their congregations not to ride the bus anymore as a form of protest. This growing bus boycott needed a leader, so a young preacher named Martin Luther King was elected to head up the cause. King argued that segregation on buses was wrong, but urged everyone to keep their protests peaceful, a philosophy he learned from his hero, Mahatma Gandhi. For 382 days, the African-American citizens of Montgomery stayed off the buses, until the Supreme Court declared that Mrs. Parks and Dr. King were right. This event helped pave the way for the other peaceful protests, the elimination of Jim Crow laws, and introduced the nation to Martin Luther King, one of history's greatest champions for civil rights. So, here it is in a nutshell. Rosa Parks kept her seat, a young preacher shared the heat. Folks went walking, the court was talking, and Jim Crow was finally beat.
That's Rosa Parks in 60 seconds.
Welcome back to School Matters. I'm Logan.
And I'm Matt. We're here at Glen Allen High School. So far on this show, we've met some very smart people. A Goblin alum who's a physicist, the winner of the Henrico Spelling Bee.
And those very smart students from Glen Allen.
Yeah, they seem pretty smart.
Now we're going to meet some students who are taking what they've learned in the classroom and put it to good use.
They're students from the Advanced Career Education Center at Highland Springs, and the good work they are doing is building a house.
Seriously, CTE students are building a house that people will live in one day. Windows, doors, water, electricity, this is the real deal.
We caught up with them when they were in the drywall stage, learning the proper techniques from Clay Street Builders. Check it out.
Today specifically is drywall. Hanging drywall, putting the glue on the studs prior to the drywall, just measuring and getting all the boxes set and getting the house ready for to be buttoned up. We're just here to provide some support, but it's just really the hands-on. No matter what they're doing, hands-on is just huge versus sitting in a classroom being shown slides of this and that. Actually being able to come out, touch the stuff, see the stuff, do it, make mistakes and figure it out, it's just invaluable.
This is not the first house built by students. This is house number 18 from Henrico County.
And unlike what you see on HGTV, it takes a lot more than 60 minutes to get a home completed.
Now, we're going to look at a construction on a smaller scale. This involves building shelves and, more importantly, what goes on those shelves.
Just watch this. It will all make sense.
Building a shelf is actually really, really easy. So you have 4 pieces of it, and there's only one way that you can put them together.
We had an event called Lit at the Crib, and this is something that Demetrius Frazier from Blackman Reed brought to us over the summer.
That's the top, that's the bottom.
He said that he wanted to have an event where we build bookcases with students for them to take to their homes to start home libraries.
Keep forgetting there's only 2 of them. These are E because of the indents. These are C.
It surprised me how many groups of kids worked on their own as a group of students without an adult and got 3 or 4 bookcases built together.
They were helping each other, showing each other. So I think it was great. It was multi-generational, and it's simple as building a bookcase. That is such a skill that you can use and take for lots of things in life.
We wanted younger siblings and family members to come. So it was a whole family community event. We had Margot Williams from Sandston Elementary here. She provided some STEAM activities for the kids to work on while the older siblings were building the bookcases. We really value our partnership with Blackman Reed. We had a goal this year to do an event every quarter with them, and so far everything has gone really well. They make a huge difference in our library and in the lives of our students because they can bring in some of the resources that we need to make these events happen.
All right, so you gonna help her?
Yep.
Right.
And so each family got to fill up a box of books to take home to fill their bookcase.
So we go to Goodwill and love the fact that we can get free books. It's a little effort, but we are glad to do it and dig in the bottom of some bins for those books, and they're great condition and they're great titles.
But there's something that happens that you need to have happen. It's called discovery. Just finding what you like. And so this allows that to happen. So For those who don't have books at home, you're less likely to read. So when little kids come in your house and they see books and they come and grab your book and they say, auntie, cousin, whatever, come read this for me, now they have something to discover.
We want everybody reading, so we are glad to provide that service. I'm glad they could have a bookshelf to put the books on and just spread the love of reading, and that's what we're all about.
That's pretty cool. Those kids got their own libraries. Do you have a favorite book?
Just Mercy, what's yours?
The Kite Runner. Now, 5th grade students at Ward Elementary put their thinking caps on to design math challenges. It added up to a very excited morning.
We had a math arcade day. Students worked on building cardboard arcade projects, and they've been working on it for about 2 or 3 months. They worked with a partner or by themselves in a group, and they had to create a game based on a video called Kane's Arcade, building out of cardboard and innovating with it.
Yeah, the stuffed animals, I wouldn't, you can try to get, but it's glowing. Oh, it's so those are lights. Oh, you got good job.
We did our own twist on it by making it a math arcade game. So students had to tie in math, either they learned or they had learned before, and then to create the game and then present it for other students to come visit and play their games with the students running the arcade.
You get 10 tries in 30 seconds, and if you get all 3, you get a prize.
We talked a lot about how everyone needed to be able to play the game, so how are they going to be able to help students so that it would both be challenging, sturdy, and fun.
What's 3 times 3? 9.
The one that I really loved was a soccer game that students had built, and they incorporated a robot. So they had to use the robot to push the ball into the goal, and then they had to think about how they were going to use math in the game. So I was really happy that they were thinking of ways to incorporate technology and robotics into the cardboard games.
You did it! All right, what's 5 times 5? 25. All right, okay.
I think students need as many opportunities as possible to be leaders in the school and to show their work. They were working in groups, they were thinking creatively, they were thinking critically, they were collaborating, and they were showing off how they were being a global citizen.
Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
He said, why don't you stand up? I said, I don't think I should have to stand up.
Robinson dashes to the plate. The 99th Squadron was also an expert in aerial combat.
And those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can.
Born in Richmond in 1878, Bill Bojangles Robinson began performing at the age of 6. For decades, his talent as a dancer was known around the world. Then at age 50, he made his screen debut. One of his signature routines involved dancing on a flight of steps, like in The Little Colonel with Shirley Temple. He also appeared in Stormy Weather, one of the biggest musicals of its day, and featured an all-star African-American cast. Offstage, Bill Robinson was famous for his community efforts. He was the co-founder of the New York Black Yankees baseball team in Harlem. Once, when he saw 2 children nearly get hit by a car in Richmond, he paid to have a traffic light installed at the intersection. Today, a statue in his honor stands near that site. Bill Bojangles Robinson, a Virginian who made an indelible mark on the world.
Welcome back to School Matters. I'm Matt.
And I'm Logan. So far in the program, we've learned about building houses, building bookshelves,
and a little bit about science and spelling.
So now it's time to have fun and play some games.
We're off to Three Chop Elementary, where students have created their own games of chance.
Welcome to Three Chops Chance Carnival. I'm Lizzie Goodman.
And I'm Alex Briner. We are excited to give you a quick overview of our games of chance. Our classmates have been working hard to create carnival games that demonstrate experimental and theoretical probability.
Our goal was to create games that people would want to play, but in true carnival fashion, they are slightly unfair. I don't get anything?
Yeah.
I don't?
Sorry,
oops. Okay. Bye. Thank you. We used our knowledge of probability to make sure that they are completely based on chance and not on skill.
Once we designed the game, we calculated the theoretical probability of a person winning. Today, as we play the games, we will also be collecting data. We will compile the data from all the individuals that play to calculate each game's experimental probability. To wrap up, we will compare the theoretical and experimental probability.
Are you ready to head and see the games in action? Let's go. 4.
Oh no! You won. So you want a lollipop or a paper towel? So blue is the winning color. So go ahead and try and pick. You got a blue dude, so that's one prize. And you got another blue dude. You can get 2 prizes then.
I got it filled stuff.
No, you got 2 diamonds.
Oh, that's what I mean?
Okay, let's just in.
Go free doggy.
Oh, you took the doggies. Now pick 2 colored starbursts. That is cheesecake. Congrats, you get a prize.
Mine got a prize. If you get one of these drawings, what an M&M.
You can look through the drawings if you want.
Thank you. Oh, wait, no. Thank you.
Okay.
What's the card number?
Good job, you won a big prize.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Those kids not only created games of chance, they designed them so they favor the house.
I think they're #LifeReady to work in Vegas.
Over at Hermitage, students in a chemistry class got some real-world experience. The topic was chemical spills, so the students pretended to be from a company that had a disaster.
And explained what happened to the public and the press.
So we are so excited to hear from you all today. You have no reason to be nervous. We all are just really looking forward to hearing what kind of work that you've done in your project.
We had the Henrico Emergency Management Council come to Hermitage High School, and they are in charge of making sure that all the corporations in the county have plans for all of the chemicals they have on site.
But we meet so everyone in the community knows what hazards are in their backyard.
So if a spill did happen, they were the committee that would kind of get together and make sure that everything was taken care of properly.
Number 2, fuel oil spill press release. An example on how to control a spill the right way.
And so I had my students kind of make a fake scenario and present their press release and their chemical management plan to the committee, kind of like a real world scenario, but not completely real, lucky for us.
The leak was spilled onto the concrete flooring of the storage location of the number 2 fuel oil.
It was a little bit intimidating because there was, people that did what we did for the project, but they do it for like a career.
It definitely was a bit like nervous feeling, butterflies in your stomach. Like it felt like that, but after you started talking, it felt really natural.
We were quickly able to use the binding compound to dispose of the oil and help our independent contractors. No one was hurt in the process of cleaning this up.
It was really different. It's not like anything I've ever done before.
We became aware of the faulty wire during the investigation of the accident. We have technician inspections every month, but there was no indication of us having a faulty wire.
I thought it was really cool to present to like a professional board. I've never really done that. I thought it was awesome.
It is one of the world's largest paper and packaging companies. The company is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, with offices in Norcross, Georgia, and Richmond, Virginia.
I love doing all the research outside of school. I love meeting up with my partner.
Since sulfuric acid is a very corrosive chemical, precautions were made when it was cleaned up. Hazmat teams poured sodium bicarbonate onto the leak to neutralize it.
Most of the stuff
that we did put down, they were like, we would have put that down in a chemical management plan, like how you clean up sulfuric acid and what everyone needs to do. And we tried to go as in-depth as we could with all of our information we had.
Luckily, no sulfuric acid ended up exploding, as well as we know that is highly corrosive.
It was really great to have them interact with real people doing real things that involve chemistry, especially when some of them are like, how am I ever going to use chemistry again?
And here in Henrico, you're lucky enough to have one of the best, most equipped hazmat teams in the Commonwealth of Virginia anyway.
Probably the thing I liked the best was having their feedback on how we did.
Because you guys understand the science behind it, where the average person like me does not.
Definitely pretty motivating to, be right and be on task and actually be able to control the situation if it was my job. And I think it was really cool to step into the shoes of someone who's that's really their job.
It gets more of a real life scenario.
And I learned how to actually have like public relations skills, and I could apply those further in my future for college or maybe as a job.
Try to get internships in that area and get to know people, because it's all about relationships, and it is the thing that will separate you from the rest of the candidates. So when it comes time for that job that you really, really want, you need that edge over everybody else.
This was their project that they built, and they were the experts, and it was really great to see them kind of, blossom in front of the committee and stand up there and knock it home.
Y'all did a great job, and it's a lot to ask you to step up in front of this crowd and talk to people.
I heard Andy Jenks even came by to give the students advice on how to handle the press.
I have some advice for Andy Jenks. Give us a snow day. No need to wait for bad weather. Be innovative and give us a snow day when the sun's out.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of School Matters. Remember, if you like the show, subscribe to the Henrico Schools TV channel on YouTube.
We'll leave you now with highlights from an all-county middle school band concert held recently at Hermitage High School. I'm Matt.
And I'm Logan. Thanks for watching.